ban on gas-powered vehicles. This is completely conjured up fake showmanship.
EV mandate explodes in the House of Commons. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. Today we've got the Liberals getting absolutely humiliated and fact-checked in the middle of the House of Commons session. They keep trying to push forward this lie that Canadians will be able to buy whatever vehicle they want going forward, which is simply not true. It's got a bunch of other stuff here. Let's jump into this. Starting off with this story, the Liberals got 200 teens and scouts to spend 3 weeks picking buffalo berries in Kananaskis to protect G7 leaders from bears. I'm sorry, but isn't this affecting the natural food supply for bears? This is a 3-day meeting. This is absurd. So they offered up children instead. So we're removing wild animals' natural food source for a 3-day meeting. Yeah, this is Liberal stupidity at its best. Got Kirk with this one. Canada's Q1 2025 population growth by province. Guess who's number one? It's Alberta with 20,500 people. Manitoba up 3,300. Saskatchewan 2,600. And then it just goes down from there. Newfoundland Labrador minus 115. Quebec minus 1,000. British Columbia minus 2,300. And Ontario minus 5,664 people. Not surprised with these numbers. And we've got this one. Vancouver's new Trutch Street is now officially called Shmush on Google Maps. I would be pissed off. I would be filing some serious complaints if I lived on this street. How do you order anything? How do you call 911? How do you even type this into an online payment portal when you buy something online? You go buy a new shirt, you have to put in your address. How do you put in an S with a V and a little tiny W and this weird O with a line in it? How do you type any of this into a keyboard? I mentioned this when I brought up this story before. No one can speak this language anymore. There's no one on earth who is fluent in this language anymore. By all means, if it's such a big deal, rename Trutch Street to something else. Apricot Street. As these people say, what happens when you need to call 911? I guess you just perish, because stupidity runs supreme in Vancouver. This is getting passed along with the Oilers losing the Stanley Cup. This is a real photo. This is real. Mark Carney owns this shirt that says McJesus on it. This guy was embarrassing himself before he even became Prime Minister. And we've got this one. Liberals confirm that they will go ahead with their EV ban. Conservatives bringing up the EV mandate once again because this comes into effect next year. Prices of cars might be going up soon.
This Liberal government is doubling down on its insane ban on gas-powered vehicles. The latest Liberal overreach kicks in next year, and soon your favorite car, truck, and van will be illegal. But this mandate is already driving up prices. The average price of a new car is $67,000. Used cars are approaching $40,000, and this Liberal mandate will add an additional $20,000 per vehicle. They've already priced working Canadians out of the housing market. Why are they pricing working Canadians out of the ability to buy a vehicle as well?
The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, first let's start with the facts, which is there is no ban on gas-powered vehicles.
This lady's insane. She knows full well the ban is coming in next year. It's going to be 20% of cars must be mandated to be EVs. They need to stop lying. They need to be fined for every single lie. We have this posted on Blacklock's Reporter. It says MPs last night by 194 to 141 vote upheld the federal mandate to ban new sales of gasoline-powered vehicles by 2035. Commons critics challenged the measure closely. Impractical and draconian. Goes on to say battery-powered electrics accounted for 1% of road vehicles in Canada last year. According to Statistics Canada, of 25,700,000 road vehicles registered, 327,732 were battery electrics, the equivalent of 1.3%. As of new sales, it's only 6% of EVs, and next year they want that to be 20%.
More to the point, let's also say, once again, we're seeing the Conservatives talking down one of our most important industries, employing hard-working auto workers in our country at the very moment that we're facing tariff threats from the United States.
How is this talking down the auto industry in Canada? The EV auto industry in Canada went bankrupt. You guys dumped so much of our money into that instead of building pipelines. Lie after lie after lie.
I find it rich that they are choosing to take this position instead of talking up a growing and important industry. We stand with our auto workers.
Very good.
It's not growing. Almost all of them are gone.
There absolutely is a ban. It starts to come into effect next year, and it will absolutely devastate the auto sector here in Canada. The auto sector is already under fire from unjustified U.S. tariffs and the PM's inability to get a deal, but GM, Ford are all saying that this ban will kill jobs. In fact, a new report says that this ban on gas-powered vehicles will kill 90,000 auto jobs. Wow. Instead of sending even more jobs to the U.S., why not end the ban on gas-powered vehicles, and let Canadians decide what kind of vehicle they want to buy.
The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, it's nice to hear that they're finally recognizing that we're talking about an industry that's facing unjustified tariffs from the United States.
That's right.
But let's also talk about how our auto sector is important. We need to support it in this moment. It's creating good-paying union jobs in our country. An EV standard actually makes sure that new electric vehicles are available to Canadians. They're cheaper to operate, they're cheaper on upkeep, and Canadians want to be able to have access.
Canadians don't want to be forced to buy something they don't want to buy. If you live in the middle of rural Timbuk nowhere and you want a reliable vehicle that can drive a long distance, the EV is not the choice. If you live in a city, they're fine, they're great, they work in the cities, short commutes. Why are they forcing this on us? It all comes down to Brookfield and them making money. Everything comes down to money because these people are greedy.
You don't have to allow Canadians to buy one type of vehicle by banning their ability to buy the ones that they actually want. But, you know, this is raising a lot of questions. Canadians, auto workers, Ford, GM, they all don't want the EV mandate, but the Prime Minister is intent on pushing it through. Why? Well, right before becoming Prime Minister, he was chair of Brookfield, and he advocated for a ban on gas-powered cars. Brookfield is heavily invested in the EV supply chain, yet this Prime Minister refuses to reveal his financial interests or self-admitted conflicts. Isn't it true that this isn't about the environment, this is about the bottom line for Brookfield?
I'm glad Andrew Scheer said it. We'll take a look at it right here. Mark Carney used to be vice chair ESG. As he said, he advocated for ban on gas-powered cars. Brookfield has these two companies, Enercare Heat Pumps. They actually do EV charging stations as well. And Brookfield has partnered with Shoals Technologies Group. They announced a strategic partnership to introduce the innovative charge-as-a-service solution for EV charging infrastructure. And on top of all this, Brookfield Properties themselves installs chargers, mostly in commercial but also residential now. You can see this post right from Brookfield Properties on LinkedIn. It says, part of our core values to do the right thing, we are committed to the expansion of electric vehicle charging stations across our portfolio. That goes on to say here, says they've doubled their charging stations, providing over 150 stations across 17 properties. And this post is from 5 years ago. They've been doing this a long time now. So no wonder they want electric vehicles. It'll make them more money. It all comes back to money. It's all of this is. Everything they put through is so they can make money off of all of this stuff.
Make no mistake, we will fight for every job and every worker. We have invested in the auto sector, including the EV sector.
That's exactly what this government is doing. It's attacking the auto sector. Our supposedly elbows-up Prime Minister promised to get tough with the U.S., but these unjustified tariffs will kill 50,000 Canadian auto sector jobs. And while he's bungling the trade talks, his self-imposed ban on gas-powered cars will gut another 40,000 jobs. The combination of these two failures will be disastrous for our auto industry. That's 90,000 jobs gone. Poof. Will the Prime Minister admit his failures are killing our auto sector and instead finally stand up for 90,000 Canadian jobs?
Mr. Speaker, this line of questioning is somewhat absurd. Whether you want to get on a Skidoo, whether you want to get on an all-terrain vehicle, whether you want to gas up your F-150, whether the plumber wants to take the truck to work, that is that person's choice in this country. There is no ban on gas-powered vehicles. This is completely conjured up, fake showmanship from the Conservatives. Unbelievable. There is an auto sector in Canada. We're going to stand up for the people in it. We're going to protect it, and we're going to give consumers choice.
What is he talking about? It's right on the Government of Canada website. It says right here, 2026, 20%. This is the mandated amount. This is the mandatory amount that car companies must sell in Canada next year. So are they trying to say there's no mandate today? Because there isn't today, but next year there will be. It'll be 20%. And as of right now, EV sales account for 6%. Once again, Steve McKinnon lying, $1,000 fine. Looking at this one here, you can see NCDA. This is the New Car Dealers Association of BC. They're talking about understanding the decline in interest in electric electric vehicles in Canada and charting a path forward, consumers make decisions when it makes economic sense, not because of hard and arbitrary targets. So we need to continue to drive demand with incentives by providing needed charging infrastructure. Therefore, forcing a sales target that will penalize auto manufacturers with a $20,000 charge per vehicle sold outside of the arbitrary mandate. That is the 20% I just showed you right here. Starting in 2026, for not hitting a target means they will simply reduce availability of certain gas models to meet the quota and avoid penalties. This will restrict supply and drive up the price for both new and used cars. This is once again the government making Canadians' lives more unaffordable. The government needs to buzz right the heck off so they can lie all they want. It's in their own documents here. This is a mandate, and as you can see, by 2035, it has to be 100% gas-powered vehicles cannot be sold. Forget 2035. There's 94% mandate by 2033, 2 years earlier. 60% of the cars sold have to be EVs by 2030. The price of cars is going to skyrocket here. The Conservatives keep doubling down on this, and Stephen McKinnon continues to lie.
So, will the Prime Minister reverse this reckless policy and let Canadians buy the vehicles they actually want to buy?
Speaker, when I go down to the street corner near my house, they have this thing called a pump. The pump offers various choices of grades of gasoline, and for the honourable member's benefit, there's a yellow one that says diesel. So if you happen to have a diesel engine, you stick the pump into that one, into your vehicle, and you know what? You have a choice. You run your diesel truck or you run your diesel car. That's all good, Mr. Speaker. Canadians have the choice. Let's drive on.
What's so funny about this, guys? You're just doing it to enrich your own bank accounts. Brookfield stock options. This is so pompous and arrogant. McKinnon having a meltdown here over this. Let's look exactly how these companies are doing. So here's a list here. All the yellow are the updates. So starting at the top, GM Ingersoll paused production, laying off 1,200 workers. The only three companies that are still up and running here fully are these three. One that produces EV batteries, Goodyear's EV tires, and Dana T4M electric powertrains. These can all be used on other vehicles. That's why they're still functional, because there's a supply chain they can tap into. All the rest, Ford EV, 1.8 billion EV plant scrapped, focusing now on gas pickups. Line Electric, bankrupt. Honda EV on hold for 2 years because there's low EV demand. Stellantis EV, pause the Dodge Charger EV, pause the $1.3 billion of retooling for Jeep Compass EV. Northvolt, the headquarters in Sweden went bankrupt. Now North American branch is on the brink of bankruptcy. $20 billion in Volkswagen EV. Cancelled. The ID7 electric sedan, Canadian production, cancelled. This is the future that the Liberals want. It's all a money-making scheme. They're not doing what's best for Canadians. You gotta check this out. Matt Strauss, the emergency doctor, he gave a speech earlier, a couple weeks ago, that really went around social media. He is quoting it right off the website, wiping their smug look off their faces.
Mr. Speaker, contrary to that member's remarks, I'm reading Canada's electric vehicle availability standard regulated targets for zero emission vehicles on my phone right now. It's on their website. They are regulating this. They are mandating this while Canadians are not choosing to buy EVs. EV sales are down 45% in our country right now. And that's okay. Living in a liberal democracy means different people make different choices for their families based on their different needs as they see fit. Why won't the Liberals respect the right of Canadians to choose the vehicle that serves their family best?
I have a question for the Conservatives. Why in this moment, when we are facing unjustified tariffs from the United States, are they talking down a climate competitive industry that's right here in our country?
Question.
In fact, globally, if they looked at the reports, including the International Energy Agency's reports, global rates for the purchase of EVs are going up. So this is a growing...
Yeah, they're not going up in Canada. You guys are pushing this because you have investments in this
sector. I hope that they will support it, because we do.
Next up is quite the story here. It says emergency doctor sounds the alarm on our healthcare system, gets threatened with dismissal for going public.
Our emergency system is failing. Frontline providers are not allowed to talk about it.
Emergency physician Caitlin Stockton is blowing the whistle, alleging the Fraser Health Authority threatened her job after she tried to warn patients the Eagle Ridge Hospital emergency room was at a breaking point.
The harassment and muzzling and silencing and bullying of frontline providers needs to stop.
On November 18th, 2024, doctors urgently asked Fraser Health for help, saying conditions in the ER were unsafe as doctors became overwhelmed. But their requests were allegedly denied.
we were doing everything we could to treat those patients. The people working on that day unquestionably went above and beyond. Some people did fall through the cracks, and it was horrible.
With the situation spiraling, doctors posted this sign calling the wait times unacceptable. Fraser Health later obtained CCTV footage of Stockton posting it and allegedly threatened to revoke her hospital privileges and file a complaint against her. Stockton says it's part of a pattern of silencing frontline medical workers.
This happens all the time. It happens to nurses, it happens to physicians, and this is why the public doesn't really have the full truth about what's happening in our publicly funded hospitals.
The lawsuit also claims the health authority has repeatedly ignored doctors' pleas for help. It says that after the deadly attack on the Lapu Lapu Festival in Vancouver, doctors at Royal Columbian Hospital asked Fraser Health to initiate a Code Orange, a medical protocol that allows hospitals to respond to mass casualty events. But it claims that request was also denied. Stockton says she fears patients are being failed by an overburdened system where medical professionals are punished for speaking out.
It feels like one of those dreams where you're screaming for help, but no sound is coming out. And it just drains the life out of you after a while.
She says the conditions she witnessed on November 18th are playing out in emergency rooms across Canada.
Knowing that you're not providing standard of care to somebody who really needs it is a horrible feeling. It's not the way I was trained. It doesn't feel right. It's not what patients deserve.
The suit also alleges Fraser Health has failed to deal with a string of violent incidents at the hospital. As recently as January, staff at Eagle Ridge were attacked by a patient wielding a machete. CBC News has obtained a letter signed by 50 emergency physicians across BC supporting Stockton's claims. She says as she goes public, she hopes more doctors and patients will step forward demanding change.
This is disgraceful. You know what would help hospitals in a situation like this is $5.3 billion, the same amount of money that Mark Carney helped Brookfield dodge in taxes in Canada. You see Liberals on X here complain about Pierre Poilievre staying in Stornoway. They have nothing to say about Mark Carney helping Brookfield rip off Canadians with $5.3 billion in taxes, unpaid taxes. That'd be more than enough money to spread around multiple hospitals and fix these problems where hospitals are understaffed. It doesn't help too that Justin Trudeau and the Liberals drove all the nurses out of hospitals during the World event. That was a real bonehead thing to do. The system is broken. In Canada, it looks like you can't speak out anymore. Kudos to her for speaking out. I hope many others joined her. Enough is enough.